folks. Jay here for the J Spot at Toronto Pearson International Airport as usual. We're here on a brisk spring day, second day of spring, but it's kind of cool out, so I'm bundled up. We're going to talk about J Spot 5. I know that sounds like a 60s era Motown pop group, but we're going to take a look at some top 5 lists of things that I think you'll find interesting. Glad you could join us. So what we're going to talk about today is the top 5 camera types that you can use for spotting. Nowadays there's a number of different options that are open to you, from cell phones to DSLRs, and we're going to look at them. We're going to look at each one, pros and cons, what I've used, what you can use. Because quite honestly, if you have a cell phone like this one that takes very good pictures, you can do some pretty amazing still photography and videography using it. Number 5, point and shoot camera. Very popular a number of years ago, before the age of the cell phone camera. Point and shoot cameras could take amazing shots. Some of them were waterproof. You could take them underwater, or at least shoot when it was mildly raining out. And many of my shots, if you've ever seen my shot of the A310 that blew up, and I blew it up, like inflated, I mean, that was done at 18 millimeters using the point and shoot camera. Actually, it was about 6 millimeters using the point and shoot camera. And so you can get some interesting effects and some interesting shots. I love that t-shirt that says, "I don't always stop for airplanes." Yes, I do. So the first type is point and shoot camera. Little cameras you can put in your pocket. The lenses go in and out, everything's attached. So that's one thing you can use. Number 4. Number 4 is a newer type of camera called interchangeable lens cameras, ILCs. And a number of the camera makers, major camera makers, have tried to market these over the past few years. And these are similar to a DSLR in that they have a body and a lens that you can do interchangeable lenses. This is a zoom lens. The lens I'm using on the camera to shoot this video is a wide angle lens, 18 to 105. This is 70 to 300. Very similar to DSLRs. However, there's no optical viewfinder usually. See, I can take a picture of my camera. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see the image right away. In the ILC, one of the drawbacks is that you always have to use the viewfinder to take your picture. The only problem associated with that is the battery life, how long the battery will last. Another problem with these types of cameras is the quickness or the speed of the autofocus. They're not quite up to speed the way a DSLR is. This focuses very quickly. Now, it's an expensive camera, but still, it focuses very quickly because of its type, not so much because of its cost. And so that's one of the problems, is the focus. On the plus side for ILC cameras is the image quality is impeccable usually. You can take an insane number of shots per second. I can do about 6.5, maybe 7 if I lock up the mirror in this, because this has a mirror. And the ILC, by the way, does not have a mirror. It's a mirrorless camera. I can shoot about 6 frames a second. So the ILC camera takes insane number of shots per second. 20, 30 frames a second. Some of them are up to, I think, 50 frames a second. So there are some advantages, and I think you have to find what's the best for you in terms of any of these types that we're talking about. It takes very high quality video too, 4K video in a lot of them. excellent. A lot of people are attaching them to booms and to those rotorcraft out around the airport, but flying them around with drones and getting some amazing video results. So that is number 4. Number 3 is something I've worked with, but I don't own one presently, and that is a laptop or a some sort of tablet that you can take photographs and video with. You see a lot of young people. Always stop and look at the airplanes. You see a lot of young people with them. I haven't used them extensively. One of the issues with them, I know, because it's very similar to the cell phone, is the ability to zoom in or when the light starts to go down. We're getting later in the evening here. This camera I'm using, I can jack up the ISO and you'll still see me pretty good. One of the problems with the tablets is you often get graininess when you bump up the ISO. That's the amount of light lit into the camera, or if you zoom in on an object. That's why I have a zoom lens on this camera up to 300 millimeters so that I can zoom in. So I haven't used them very much, so I can't really say too much about them, but they are an option. You can jump out of the van. We see some kids here jumping out of the van, taking pictures. Away you go. So that's one of the other options. That's number 3. Number 2 is good old DSLR. That stands for Digital Single Lens Reflex Camera. That's a mouthful. Number 2 on our list is DSLRs. And the digital single lens reflex, digital, you can put the pictures on your computer, you don't have to use film anymore. And the single lens reflex means that it's a single lens, and the reflex refers to the mirror that reflexes up and down. So you see what you're taking a picture of. Have you ever taken a picture with a DSLR? You'll notice it goes black, and that's when the mirror locks up. For high quality, fine photography, this is often what's used. And the interesting thing about it is that there is a body with a mirror in it, along with a lens, and they're interchangeable, like the ILFC. The image quality is great. This is a full frame camera, so the image quality is that much better, and I can crop the picture and still get good quality. This is a fairly expensive camera, with the body being about $2,000 and the lens about $800. But you don't necessarily have to buy a full frame camera. I'm shooting on a cropped sensor camera. That's a smaller sensor. The full frame means that the size of the sensor is exactly the same as a piece of 35 millimeter film days, and the crop sensor is a little bit smaller. Still, pretty good quality. You can buy a fairly inexpensive body and a good lens and get amazing results in the DSLR. That's one of the things about it. You can shoot very quick, autofocus is very quick, image quality is great, cropping wonderful, everything you can do. This is generally what I use, and that's number 2. Back again. Number 1. Probably the single most commonly used form of photography these days is a cell phone. It's got a camera. It also has a reversible camera, and it takes pretty good pictures. This one takes very good pictures in good light, and if you don't zoom in on the object, like I showed you the zoom lens on this camera. So if you don't zoom in and you're taking pictures in bright light, it's darn good. One of the drawbacks of this is this. Hello? Oh, hi dear. It's my girlfriend. Yeah, no, I'm not doing anything. No, I'm not at the airport. Okay, see you later, love you. Bye. You can be taking a picture and you get a phone call. And guess what takes the priority? Now this was just a staged thing here. I didn't really get a phone call, and I don't have a girlfriend. But you get my point. When I was a kid, and I'm not ranting and raving because I'm an old guy here, but when I was a kid, you had telephones and you had cameras. And you couldn't take pictures with your telephone, and you couldn't answer your camera. And I've seen it so many times, people going to take a picture of something, and they get a phone call. It's hysterical, actually, because the phone call takes the priority. So that's probably the most commonly used other way that people take pictures. Because you can jump out of your car, there's not a lot to it. You can take a picture, it's not a big deal. You don't have a lot of equipment that you've got to set up. You basically push the camera button, Bob's your uncle. There's a lot of apps that you can download so that you can watch what's happening at the airport in terms of the planes coming in, and then take pictures of them when they come in. So I mean, it's really an all-round instrument in that sense. And if you take a picture with your cell phone, you can often upload it to any of the social media, and within seconds have your picture posted so that anyone in the world can see it. So there's a lot of advantages. The only downside to the camera that I've found in the phone is low light, and when you have to zoom in, you get what's called graininess. The picture quality deteriorates significantly. But other than that, pretty good pictures, and I've been using